celestial beings will become angry. So, on account of the murder of Hajr, initially, I decided to revolt, but was afraid lest the event of the Battle of Jamal should be repeated. Dr. Taha Hussein says, the murder of Hajr is the greatest tragic event of history. Contemporaries of Muawiyah believed that Muawiyah was a headache for Islam. Muawiyah himself knew it and used to feel proud of it. Amr bin Hamak Khuzai. Amr ibn Hamak was a companion of the Prophet, who embraced Islam before the conquest of Mecca. He was a close associate of the Holy Prophet. The Prophet prayed for him that he might enjoy his youth. Hence, even when he was 80 years of age his hair had not become gray. Amir al-Mu'minin Imam Ali prayed for him, O Lord, illuminate the heart of Amr on account of his piety and guide him to the right path. When Ziyad became the governor of Kufa, he summoned Amr, but Amr went into hiding. He was pursued and his wife, Amina bint Shard, was arrested. Eventually, the officials of Ziyad arrested Amr and beheaded him. For the first time in Islam, Ziyad exhibited Amr's severed head at various places and sent it to Muawiyah. Muawiyah displayed generosity and sympathy by sending Amr's head to his imprisoned wife and it was thrown in her lap. Amina placed her hand on the forehead of Amr, kissed his lips and said, "For quite a long time, you had kept him hidden from me and now you have brought his body to me as a present. Blessed be Amr who came to me as a present. He neither made me furious nor ever became furious because of me." There is no doubt that Yazid was like his father, Muawiyah. Yazid cut off the head of Imam Hussein, and exhibited it in various cities before the very eyes of the Imam's wife and children so that it might be more painful for them. Muawiyah sent the head of Amr to different cities, and then had it thrown into the lap of his imprisoned wife so that she might be further distressed. Rushayd Hujri. Rushayd was a worthy disciple of Imam Ali, Ziyad told him to express dissociation from Imam Ali, and curse him. Upon his refusal, Ziyad cut off his limbs and crucified him. Juwariya bin Musa'ar Abdi. Ziyad arrested Juwariya, cut off his limbs, and hanged him on the branch of a date palm till he finally died. These were a few examples of the atrocities and murders committed by Muawiyah so that people know that all that the official narrators write is not correct. Captives and prisons. In addition to killing the Shias, cutting off their limbs, hanging them and burying them alive, Muawiyah imprisoned so many Shia men and women that the prisons became full. He even used to meet these prisoners so that the fire of his grudge might extinguish, but the Shia prisoners said things that only added fuel to the fire of his wrath. Masudi writes, Muawiyah had imprisoned Saysha ibn Suhan, Abdullah ibn Kawa, and some supporters of Imam Ali, as well as some elders of Quraysh. One day he entered the prison and asked the prisoners, "What sort of caliph am I?" Ibn Kawa replied, "Your material world is vast but your hereafter is hard. You have changed darkness into light and light into darkness. What sort of a caliph would be he who rules over the people by force and becomes low in the eyes of the people owing to his pride, and gains domination over them by means of falsehood and deceit? By Allah, you were present on the battlefield at the battle of Badr. You and your father were among the enemies of the Prophet who were in the caravan and who ran away. Your grandfather and father were set free by the Holy Prophet. Is such a person fit for caliphate?" 15. Muawiyah imprisoned the righteous servants of Allah, killed them, exiled them, amputated their limbs, and burnt them alive. He meted out this treatment to the friends of Imam Ali, after they had accepted his rulership. Despite this, there are people who say that Muawiyah had a tender heart and was kind. George Jordak has replied to this remark in his book Al-Imam Ali, in the chapter of Muawiyah and his successors. We reproduce below a portion of that book. On one hand, Muawiyah was so kind that he granted Egypt and its inhabitants to Amr ibn As, and on the other hand he was cruel that he even took away the right of Egypt and the Egyptians to live. If this could be called kindness, then every murder is kindness. When a person studies Muawiyah's policies carefully, he will be stunned to find what means he employed to persecute the people. Murder, plunder, and terrorism formed his basic policy, and making attractive promises and administering threats were also parts of it. It also includes the murder of good and innocent persons, holding rogues and criminals in esteem, false propaganda and seeking assistance from people of bad character. Abu Sufyan's nature had a great influence on the character of Muawiyah. In the same way his disposition had deep imprints of his mother, Hind. Thus, both played an important role in molding his nature and habits. Muawiyah's services to the Shia faith, building their arguments with Quranic verses and numerous sayings of the Prophet. Shias believe that love and obedience to all al-Bayt of the Prophet is obligatory and it is necessary to dissociate from their enemies. Shia scholars have written countless books about the virtues of this family. But the Quran, the traditions, and the books written for the propagation of Shia faith are not as effective as the policies of Muawiyah, which became the cause of publicity and strengthening of Shia faith. The crimes of Bani Umayyah were more effective than the thousands of books and proved more effective in proving the rightfulness of Amir al-Mu'minin than thousands of arguments. In proving the facts, rational and scholarly writings are not as effective as historical events. It is because historical events are like experiments, whose results are undeniable. During the time of Muawiyah, many events took place which proved he was a worldly-minded person while Imam Ali was a religious personality. There is an old proverb saying that good can be better perceived by comparing it with evil. Muawiyah said, I fought in order to rule over Kufa and to take over their wealth, and it was not for prayer and fasting. Compare this with the statement of Imam Ali, to see the manifest reality. The Imam once pointed to his shoe and told Ibn Abbas, in my view, this shoe is better than rulership except that I should protect a right, deliver it to one who deserves it, and should restrain from falsehood. Muawiyah decided to erase the name of Imam Ali and his descendants from the minds of the people, and to invite them towards attachment to Uthman and alliance with Bani Umayyah. To achieve this, he killed and persecuted them and considered it to be his political acumen and expertise. However, this policy produced a result that was opposed to what he desired, and that era had passed. Today, the name of Bani Umayyah has become a symbol of injustice, corruption, treachery, murder, and pillage. Whereas the name of Imam Ali is the icon of guidance, truth, and protection of the oppressed. Abdullah ibn Urwa ibn Zubair told his son, pay attention to faith, for whatever the world constructs is destroyed by faith, but when faith is made the foundation, the world cannot destroy it. Just look at Ali ibn Abi Talib. Whatever Bani Umayyah said to vilify him caused him to become more popular. By Allah, the weeping of Bani Umayyah for their dead and the reciting of elegies by poets were nothing but mourning for decayed corpse. Dr. Taha Hussein writes in Ali wa Banuhi, nothing promotes the views of the opponents of despotism and prompts people to embrace their thinking as despotism itself does, because despotism automatically makes the people inclined to the oppressed and makes them take up their cause. Views attract the people profoundly to themselves and acquire greater strength as against the crimes of the despots. And in the end, the views come out victorious. In light of the above discussion, during the 10 years of Muawiyah's rule, Shias spread their religious beliefs all over the Islamic territories. When Muawiyah died, all the inhabitants of Iraq and the majority of Muslims in general were inimical to Bani Umayyah and loyal to Ali and his descendants. Of course, the Shia faith consists of support for all al-Bayt and enmity against Bani Umayyah, and its foundation was laid by Muawiyah. By employing means to annihilate the Shia faith, Muawiyah himself helped the spread of the Shia faith all over the country. Muawiyah left the world, but the Shia faith and family of Ali continued to exist. And inshallah will exist forever. If thankfulness for injustice were allowed, we would have been thankful for those crimes by Muawiyah ibn Hind that became the means of advancement of the Shia faith. Who is responsible for disunity among Muslims? Keeping in mind the policy of Muawiyah regarding the Shias, we ask, who is responsible for disunity among Muslims? Who caused the Muslims to be divided into Shia and Sunni? Was it the Shias, or distinguished persons of Ahlul Sunnah, or the unjust rulers, who suppressed the freedom of people, considered their bloodshed lawful and laid the foundation of oppression for the despotic rulers coming after them, against the al-Bayt and their followers, who started the cursing and slandering of the companions of the Holy Prophet from the pulpits, whose policy was it that, being in power, prescribed the cursing of His Eminence, Ali, until the children grew up until grown-ups became old, who gave abundant rewards and wealth to those who used abusive language and curses, who killed or exiled those who refused to curse, who filled every portion of the earth with terror and fear. Did Shias commit all these crimes? And let not hatred of a people incite you not to act equitably. Act equitably. That is nearer to piety 5:8. It can be innocently said, we should not get involved in these conflicts and these discussions. Why should we discuss the deeds of the dead when even their bones have been reduced to dust? We discuss those who are alive and cooperate with one another. We say in reply, true, we should let the dead remain buried and should become united and cooperate with one another. But the problem is that the traces of the crimes of the decayed bones is still present in the hearts of some people and manifest their effects, and arguments are adduced from what they said. It is strange that those who follow these decayed bones talk about unity, cooperation, and brotherhood only when they have no argument to put forward. However, when they get a chance to attack the Shias, they forget unity and cooperation. Cooperation and unity mean that people should work for the benefit of one another. However, if the intention is to safeguard one's personal interests, it is not unity and cooperation. It is enmity and short-sightedness. Yazid's actions. If Muawiyah were alive during the 3 years of Yazid's rule, he would have praised his sons' achievements. During the first year, he killed Imam Hussein, the grandson of the Holy Prophet severed the heads of his children and friends, and made his women prisoners. During the second year, he permitted his soldiers to do in Medina whatever they liked. As a result, more than 1,000 virgins were defiled and 1,000 persons killed, including 700 companions of the Prophet. In the third year, he attacked the Kaaba with catapults. If Muawiyah had been alive and seen these crimes of his son, he would have kissed his forehead and said, "You are really my son." Yazid did not stop at these crimes in Karbala, Medina, and Mecca. 16. He appointed Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad as governor of Kufa so that he might repeat the atrocities committed by his father in respect of the Shias. Ibn Ziyad imprisoned, exiled, killed and hanged the people, or cut off their limbs. He said to Mitham, a disciple and friend of Imam Ali, "You must express hatred against Ali. If you don't, I shall cut off your hands and feet and crucify you." In reply to this threat, Mitham praised Imam Ali, and cursed Ibn Ziyad and Bani Umayyah. Ibn Ziyad cut off his hands, feet and tongue and hanged him to death. What crime could be greater than that of Ibn Ziyad's? He wrote to Ibn Sa'd in connection with the battle of Karbala, "Besiege Hussein so that you may kill him and his companions and cut up his body into pieces because he deserves to be killed. When you have killed Hussein, make the horses trample his body, because he is an oppressive person. I know that to make horses trample the body of a person after his death is of no use. However, I have vowed that if I kill him, I will treat him thus. If you carry out my orders you should know that I reward those who are obedient to me, and if you cannot, hand over the command to Shimr ibn Zil-Jashan. I have given him the necessary instructions." The instructions given by him to Shimr ibn Zil-Jashan included, in addition to killing Imam Hussein, eliminating all his children, whether young or suckling, so that the progeny of Imam Ali becomes extinct. There was close similarity between Yazid and his father, Muawiyah, and between Ibn Ziyad and Ziyad, because the source of their crimes was only one, and that was enmity against Allah and the Holy Prophet. Each of them expressed this enmity according to his capacity. These persons differed from one another only in their respective names. As regards their deeds, they were alike. Yazid ruled for 3 years 7 months and 22 days. History has recorded such crimes and persecutions perpetrated by him, that his rule will remain a stigma on the history of the Muslims till the day of judgment. Can we forget the blood of Hussein? Is it possible to forget the blood that boils and remains fresh during all ages? In the words of Sheikh Ubaidi, the Mufti of Mosul, Hussein's martyrdom has joined up with the root of Islam and become unforgettable. Mughira ibn Shuba has suggested to Muawiyah to take allegiance from the people for Yazid and make him his successor. Then he said, "I have placed the foot of Muawiyah in a stirrup which is harmful for Muslims, and I have created such a split between Muslims that can never be cured. Muawiyah II. Before his death, Yazid made people give allegiance to his son, Muawiyah, and appointed him as heir apparent. But after his father's death, Muawiyah ibn Yazid renounced the caliphate. Abu Muhassin writes in An-Nujum az-Zahira. 17. Muawiyah ibn Yazid mounted the pulpit and said, after praise and glorification of Allah, O people, my grandfather fought with the people who were worthy of rulership on account of their proximity to the Prophet, and usurped the right of Ali. As long as he lived, he did what you know till he left the world, alone taking with him the burden of deeds. After my grandfather, my father usurped the caliphate though he was not fit for it. All his life he indulged in sensual desires till death overtook him, and he was also buried in the grave alone with the burden of his sins. After that, he wept greatly and then said, my greatest difficulty is that one know that my father's end is bad. He killed the descendants of the Holy Prophet, made lawful for his soldiers to do in Medina what they liked, and damaged the Kaaba. I do not have the courage to do such indecent things. I transfer the authority to you. You may choose anyone you like as the caliph. His mother said, I wish I had miscarried you. 18. Muawiyah II replied, I wish I had been such, because being miscarried is better than being associated with Yazid, Muawiyah and Abu Sufyan. After that, Muawiyah II did not live for long. Some say that since he did not carry out the bloodshed and persecution of the descendants and followers of Ali, like his father and other leaders of Bani Umayyah, he was poisoned to death. 19. The grandson of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan says, my grandfather fought with one who was the closest in kin to the son of prophethood, the foremost Muslim, the respected one among the greatest of muhajirs, owner of knowledge and excellence, cousin of the Prophet and his son-in-law. Despite that, lackeys of Bani Umayyah call this rebellion a mistake of jurisprudence. 20. In the words of Mirza Ghalib, it is a queer jurisprudence that an enemy of religion comes to fight Ali, and they call it a mistake. 1. Maulana Shibli Nomani, in his book, Surat an-Nabi Vol. 1, pg. 69, Lahore writes, the compilation of traditions took place during the period of Bani Umayyah, who carried out the vilification of the progeny Fatima and cursed His Eminence, Ali, from the pulpits for 90 years, in Jami, masjids from Sind to Asia Minor and Andalusia. The Umayyads had hundreds of traditions fabricated about the virtues of Muawiyah etc. 2. Shar Naj al-Balagha, Vol. 4. 3. Masudi says that Matraf ibn Mughira said, my father and I were Muawiyah's guests in Syria. My father used to visit Muawiyah often. One night when he returned from meeting Muawiyah, he was very much disturbed. When I asked him why he was so much distressed, he said, Muawiyah is very bad, he is the vilest person in the world. I asked, what happened? My father replied, I told him, you have reached an age when it would have been better if you had acted justly and nicely, and looked at your brothers i.e. Bani Hashim with kindness and improved relations with them. By Allah, today, they have nothing that you may fear. Muawiyah said, alas, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman managed the caliphate and behaved nicely with the people, but their names are now forgotten, but the name of Bani Hashim's brother the Prophet is called out 5 times a day in the world of Islam. I testify that Muhammad is the messenger of God. Now after this, what remains except that the name of Muhammad should also be destroyed? Masudi has quoted this incident from al-Mawfiqiyat of Zubair ibn Bakr, which is a reliable primary source. 4. Dalilis Sid Q, Vol. 3, pg. 231, quoting from Mustadrak al-Hakim. Noor al-Absar, Shiblanji. pg. 100, published by Sayyidia Yanabi al-Mawada, Salernan Kunduzi Hanafi, pg. 205, published in Istanbul. 5. Shar Naj al-Balagha, Ibni Abi, el-Hadid, Vol. 3, pg. 15. 6. Hujr ibn Adi was a companion of the Holy Prophet. He was sentenced to death for his objections against the Umayyad policy and practice of cursing Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. A brief history of him is given in this book. Note of al-Islam. 7. As Muslims considered the killing Uthman permissible whereas the killing of Umar was not, Uthman's killing was thus of lesser importance than Umar's. 8. In the beginning, Ziyad ibn Sumayya was in support of Imam Ali, a. So was Busr ibn Abi Artat, for some time. The Khawarij, who accused Imam Ali, a of infidelity and that he was liable for execution, were also in the army of Imam Ali, a. When Ziyad ibn Sumayya wanted to eliminate Sa'id ibn Sarah, the latter took refuge with Imam Hassan, a. Ziyad pulled down Sa'id's house, confiscated his belongings, and took his wife and brother in custody. Imam Hassan wrote the following letter to Ziyad. So, to say, you are in pursuit of the life of a Muslim. He has the same rights as others do, and enmity towards him is the same as enmity towards others. You pulled down his house, confiscated his belongings, and took his wife into custody. As soon as you receive my letter, rebuild his house, and return his belongings and his wife. He asked me to petition on his behalf and I have given him refuge. Ziyad replied. From Ziyad ibn Abu Sufyan to Hassan ibn Fatima, a. So, to say, received your letter. You began the letter with your name, while you are the supplicant. I am the ruler, and you are a subject. You ordered me like a king ordered his subject. You have accorded refuge to a transgressor and then wrote a letter to me. He made you do a wrong thing, and you did it readily. By Allah, you cannot save him from my hands, even though he might enter between your skin and your flesh. The flesh I would like to eat most would be your flesh. Therefore, surrender him to his neighbor, who is more eligible than you to keep him. Know that, even if I forgive his crime, it would not be because of your request, and if I kill him, it would be because of his devotion to your transgressor father. God forbid. 9. This policy was pursued despite that freedom of belief is a fundamental human right. 10. This book was written in 1962 when the racists were ruling South Africa and the African Americans were also deprived of many rights of citizenship due to racism. 11. Sul al-Hassan, Sheikh al-Yassin, pg. 324. 12. Zakahir al-Darayan, page 30. 13. Expression meaning Allah is the greatest. 14. Ziyad was the one who arrested Shias in Kufa and Basra, cut off their limbs, thrust iron rods into their eyes and hung them from doorways. Abu Futu, Volume 4, pg. 320. Sharnaj al-Balaga, Ibn Abul Hadid, Volume 11, pg. 144. This wicked man initiated the practice of executing people after tying up their hands and legs, and according to Ibn Khaldun and Ibn Athir, he buried alive Abdur Rahman ibn Hisn due to his loyalty to Imam Ali, a. Shifa as Sudur, pg.315. 15. Maruhuz Zahab, Volume 3 petagrams.49, 1948 edition. 16. After Karbala, the most tragic event was the attack on Medina, which occurred in 63 AH during the last days of Yazid. A brief account of this event is that the people of Medina rebelled against Yazid, as they considered him a transgressor, a sinner, and an oppressor. They expelled Yazid's governor from the city and appointed Abdullah ibn Hanzala as their leader. When Yazid was informed of this, he sent Muslim ibn Uqba al-Mari, whom the Muslim elders used to refer to as Musraf ibn Uqba, with a force of 12,000 men to attack Medina and ordered him to give the people of the city 3 days to surrender. If they were to disagree, they should be attacked, and after they are defeated, the city of Medina should be left free for the soldiers to do whatever they liked. The army set out with these orders. A battle took place. Medina was conquered, and after that, according to the directions of Yazid, the soldiers were permitted to do whatever they liked in Medina for 3 days. There were plunder and killings all over the city during these 3 days. The citizens were subjected to a massacre, in which, according to the report of Imam Zuhri, 700 nobles and 10,000 commoners were killed, and the shameful fact is that soldiers entered the houses forcibly and defiled the women. Khilafat o Mulukiyat, by Maulana Maududi, pg. 182. Despite these atrocities, in a program on Peace TV 2 December 2007, Drive, Zakir Naik was not ashamed to mention Yazid as Rahmatullah alayhi, meaning, may Allah be merciful on him. In the same way, the Egyptian, Sheikh Khazri writes on page 517 of his book, ul-Ilamiyya. Indeed, by rising in revolt against Yazid, Imam Hussein committed a great mistake. He shook up the foundations of national unity, as a result of which the Ummah fell into such discord and differences that it has not been able to come out of them till today. That is why this statement of Allama Mufniya is not inappropriate when he says that the signs of the crimes of the decayed bones are still present in the hearts, and they display their effects and inform us who is in Hussein's camp and who is in the party of Yazid. There still remain some garlands of curse to be placed around the necks of all the Yazids. There would never be reconciliation between us and them. Yazid is dead but his relatives are still there. Urdu verses. 17. First edition 1929. 18. This means that she wished that she had not have given birth to him. 19. After that, his tutor was also buried alive because the Umayyads thought that Muawiyah II had done all that under the influence of his tutor. Though his tutor must have also influenced him, it seems that a conversation of two maids was more the effective factor for this. Muawiyah heard a maid remarked, "The rulers of the world are attracted by beauty. Since I am beautiful, I rule upon them." Another maid replied, "What is the use of rulership? If the ruler is aggrieved by the condition of his subjects, he cannot remain happy even for a day, and he cannot even eat to his fill. If he is uncaring about his subjects, and is fully immersed in enjoyment, he would go to hell." Thus, rulers either pay attention to the material world or exercise care about the hereafter. This statement so affected Muawiyah that he announced his abdication. Tatmat ul-Muntaha. Volume I, pg. 72. 20. The author most probably refers to the popular opinion among the al-Sunnah ulama, who justify the actions of rebelling against Imam Ali as simply wrong ijtihad, or a mistake in making decision related to jurisprudence fiqh. Note of Al-Islam. Shares. Bani Marwan. After the death of Yazid, the Islamic government was transferred from the descendants of Abu Sufyan to Marwan, who ruled for 9 months. During these 9 months, he had to fight on the one hand with Abu Sufyanis, and on the other with Ibn Zubair. Thus, he could not find an opportunity to persecute the Shias. Yet, during this short period he continued to pursue the policy of Muawiyah and Yazid. He continued the practice of cursing Imam Ali from the pulpits. He gave refuge to wicked individuals like Ibn Ziyad, Hassin ibn Numair and Sharjil ibn Zilqalah, and equipped them with weapons to fight the penitents, one who included distinguished Shia leaders like Sulayman ibn Surd Khuzai, Musayyab ibn Najba Fazari, Abdullah Azdi, etc. The penitents numbered 5,000 and were the first group that rose to avenge the murder of Imam Hussein, although most of them were either killed or captured. Marwan's son, Abd al-Malik, succeeded him. Abd al-Malik became the ruler of Syria, whereas Abdullah ibn Zubair occupied the seat of Hijaz. They fought bloody battles against each other to gain control of Iraq. However, as regards the killing and persecution of Imam Ali's followers, both of them continued the previous policy. Abd al-Malik and his father Marwan assisted Ibn Ziyad to eliminate the penitents, and Ibn Zubair put Mukhtar and his followers to death. Abdullah ibn Zubair. Masudi writes in Maruhuz Zahab. Musab ibn Zubair slew Mukhtar too and his followers numbering 7,000. They were claiming to avenge the murder of Imam Hussein. Musab ibn Zubair killed Mukhtar and, having captured his womenfolk, said to them, "You must announce dissociation from Mukhtar." Except for 2, all announced dissociation from him. The 2 said, "We shall not announce disgust against Mukhtar because he believed in Allah, fasted and offered the midnight prayer." After eliminating the killers of Hussein, he shed his blood in the path of Allah and the Prophet, and thus pleased all. Musab wrote a letter to his brother, Abdullah ibn Zubair, and mentioned the stand taken by those women. Abdullah replied that if they abandoned their stand, they should be set free, otherwise they should be killed. Musab took a sword and went to meet them. One of them expressed disgust against Mukhtar, but the other refused and said, "Martyrdom is acceptable to me, but I will stick to my stand. I know that I shall be killed, and would go to paradise, into the presence of the Holy Prophet and his al-Bayt." By Allah, I cannot accept the son of Hind and forsake Ali, O my God! Bear witness that I am the follower Shia of your messenger, the son of his daughter and the al-Bayt. Musab ibn Zubair killed her, making her among the martyrs. Ibn Zubair was an enemy of Bani Umayyah, but his enmity was for the sake of worldly gains. He fought bloody wars with this very object, resulting in 10,000 persons killed. As far as beliefs were concerned, they were alike. Bani Umayyah cursed Ali, from the pulpits, and Ibn Zubair also recited this curse. One day, Muhammad ibn Hanafiya learnt that Ibn Zubair was defaming Amir al-Mu'minin, from the pulpit. Muhammad ibn Hanafiya went to the masjid and interrupted him, saying, O Arabs, woe be unto you! Ali, is being reviled and you sit quiet. Ali, was the hand of Allah, against his enemies. Ali, was the pulverizing lightning of the subduer Almighty. Since Ali, killed them for their infidelity, they harbor malice towards him and take out spite on him. For 40 Friday sermons, Ibn Zubair did not invoke blessings on the Holy Prophet of Islam. When asked for the reason, he said, members of the Prophet's family are unworthy persons. If I utter his name, their courage will increase and they will become happy, and I don't want them to be happy. Imam Ali said, Zubair was my friend, but he ceased to be friendly when his inauspicious son Abdullah was born. If Bani Umayyah killed the men and women on account of their being Shia, Ibn Zubair also did the same. It is true that the mentality of people who existed thousands of years ago exists even today. Because we see that the behavior Ibn Zubair and Bani Umayyah had towards the Shi, as the same attitude colonial countries are having towards the weak nations. The colonial powers have differences with one another in matters